Today, I have one such wonderful professional from a field which is very, very allied to mine. She's also she's taken over rather the operations of a 3 decade old firm which belonged to her father. She's running it extremely well. She's truly a girl boss, and I love the way she explained it to me the first time I met her. She said, we help you outsource your entire finance function. And I'm so happy to welcome her on this podcast. I'm speaking about Miss Ami Dhabalia. Ami's practice focuses on small businesses and essentially small and mid-sized business owners of various categories, whether it is tax, whether it's accounting, whether it's bookkeeping, whether it's auditing, and so much more. They literally take all of that headache from your shoulders and they manage it in-house. I know she's amazing at what she does, and I'm so happy to welcome her on this podcast to speak about everything tax and accounting and bookkeeping and finance and things that you need to keep yourself safe, but you will also find it a bit boring. So, Ami, welcome to the Daily Royal podcast.
Hi Jenna, thank you so much. Firstly, thank you for the awesome introduction. And it's just to clarify, it's not just me. It's my dad, my husband, and maybe three other partners in the firm. And yes, as you said, we do help reduce the headache. Um, and yeah, it's thank you for inviting me. I'm really glad to be here. And we keep on meeting so many times. It's different talking to you like this. It's awesome.
That's true. We do keep meeting often. Before we start, and we delve into what is it that you do and how exactly you help businesses, small or business of various descriptions. Can you take us a little bit through your story, through your journey? How did you become a CA? What do you do? And a little bit about your firm as well.
When I passed my standard 10th, I never wanted to be a CA, but it's kind of a very typical story. But my dad is a CA, and I was always like, "हाँ, तुमको CA बनना है," and I have to like do the same thing. But I actually wanted to do commercial arts, but that didn't happen. So because I was good academically, it was always like it was assumed that I will do it, and thankfully I did clear. And so I became CA in the year 2012, and therefrom I started my journey as a tutor. But after around 2.5, 3 years into it, the monotony got to me. There's nothing different about it. I was doing the same thing, taking the same lectures over and over again. I loved it. I loved interacting with the students and seeing their graph. But it was quite boring after that point of time. So that's when I decided that I need some experience, and it was difficult to get a job like as a tutor to actually get a job in a corporate world or something like that. But I managed to get one, and I stuck it for around 3 years. It was a Times Limited company, and it did give me a lot of exposure. But then again, the monotony struck. I was doing the same thing. After a year, once you learn everything, you are doing the same thing again and again. So then I thought, "Ki abhi, now what is my option? What do I want to do?" And that's the time when I joined my practice. So now it's been 5.5 years since I've joined the practice, and I am not bored yet. So I'm very happy. So, on a daily basis, you're doing so many different things that I don't think it can get boring. And always there's so much scope to learn more, to do more. So yeah, that's been my journey, and I'm loving it. And I'm able to use my tutoring experience and my corporate experience in this practice. So yeah.
But that's true because you do. I know for a fact that you work with a lot of different industry types, and different types of business professionals, from solopreneurs to much more established businesses. So you have, I can understand why it can't get boring because there's so much every day and every client's requirement is different. So, you
Yeah.
are also tailoring what your services to what they need. But based on your experience with small businesses, what would you say for any starting small business, right? Like anyone who's starting, or I mean any business which is at the beginning stages, or somebody's even considering doing starting a business. What are some of the things that you think they must think of and they must sort of tie up?
So I think for any kind of business, a business person will easily understand a sales funnel, right? So, for the sales funnel, how you think through from making a website or making a brand, then making a website, then doing, for example, either you do ad spends or you do SEO, either ways, and then how you get the leads and how you are going to convert the leads, and at the end, how do you generate the cash flow. So, uh, because it is sales, each and every step in this process is thoroughly thought through. Similarly, in many cases, in fact, I find that the financial part of it is usually ignored in the start. And then when problems come, probably scrutiny comes or the officer calls, that is when most of the clients are like, huh, now we have to, consult a CA or a lawyer and get these things sorted. But for any kind of a small business, I understand it's difficult, it's expensive to hire a full time accountant, but what you can do is at least be aware of what your business requires. So first is, in case you have you need to understand whether you need a trademark or not. You need to understand if your business is, let's say you are a D2C brand and you are on 10 different online portals, then your accounting has to be good, otherwise you will end up incurring the revenue leakage. I have seen many businesses who don't, despite having such a turnabout. So, trademark, your GST registrations, your accounting, in fact, your contracts. If you're a service provider and if you're getting, like for example, you're signing an NDA or you're getting into a contract with a corporate, then I think people must consult lawyers before getting into this, because uske baad, there are tons of different issues, and then you consult one, and then your entire journey becomes more expensive. So these are the very very basics. Uske baad there are things like PTEC, there is profession tax registrations, PTEC, PTRC, your welfare act, then something like a very basic income tax return. I have known people who don't even file their income tax returns.
When you say PTEC, can you just give the full form? Because I don't think people may know what is PTEC, PTRC, and so on.
Yeah. So PTEC is Profession Tax Registration Certificate. So basically, one is that you need to register for your employees, and the one that is at 2,500 per annum, which you pay for yourself. So even if you are a director in a company, or you are any kind of a solo entrepreneur, you have to pay 2,500 per annum. So these are the different rules, and most of the cases made, these rules are just ignored.
Yeah.
So these are the basic compliance which any person who starts a business has to take care of. Otherwise, they're in for a problem, later on.
Yeah, that's true, because you rightly said that, when we start a business, we think of sales funnels, and, it's a very, very, very thought through process, because that is going to be like the bread and butter of our business. But then all of these things, which is like a ring fence around our business, if we don't think of it, then it's everything that we get in. You use the correct word, you said revenue leakage, and you're literally opening yourself up to revenue leakage by not thinking through these basic things. I think there are so many tangential questions I have just on the basis of this one answer of yours, because that really seems to be the crux of our conversation today. But I want to start with the most common question that you probably will be getting in your practice from entrepreneurs or small business owners, which is about GST. As in GST, or goods and services tax. Now we know that there's GST, everybody needs a GST registration. Some people don't need a GST registration. At what point is it compulsory? Like, if you have to just demystify GST in a few short sentences, what will you say?
So yeah, so there are a few points. First is the basic turnovers. So for a service provider, the basic turnover is 20 lakh per annum. That is, if you cross 20 lakh per annum, you need to get a GST. For a person or a business who's selling goods, the limit is 40 lakhs per annum. Now, saying this, if you are someone who's selling through an e-commerce aggregator, This does not mean your website. If you're selling through a website, that's a different thing. But if, let's say, you are onboarded on Amazon or Flipkart and you're selling through these e-commerce aggregators, then um, irrespective of what your turnover is, you have to get a GST. The third is interstate suppliers. So if you are someone who's supplying from Maharashtra to Gujarat, irrespective of your turnover, you need to get a GST. But this limit is not applicable for service providers. This is only applicable for goods providers.
So only if
So
you are in the business of selling goods, which is something that you can touch and feel, not a
yeah,
service. Things that you can touch and
yes,
feel, and you're manufacturing on. And irrespective of whether you have a turnover, like the minimum number of turnover, if you are selling through an e-commerce aggregator like Amazon or Flipkart or something like that, or if you are selling it to other states in India, you need a GST.
yes, correct.
Mm.
And
And how?
also, for someone who, let's say, may not have a GST but is invited or applies for an exhibition in another state, then in that case, that state may ask for a casual taxable person registration. In that case, also GST registration is compulsory. So, casual taxable person registration is valid for 90 days. And once your exhibition is done, you can surrender it, and but the GST will be compulsory in that case. Otherwise, you will not be able to participate in the exhibition.
Okay, and tell me about GST now. I think one of the biggest concerns when it comes to GST is the compliance that is associated with GST. I don't know properly whether people know what exactly is the compliance. It's just like you're also a little worried, okay, I have to keep doing something. So I'd rather not get to that point. So can you tell me what is the compliance now that we know who needs a GST number? What is the compliance and how do you apply for a GST number? Is it free?
Yes, the government does not charge anything for a GST registration, but your whoever you hire to get your GST registered, will. The GST registration cost is not a lot, frankly. The main thing is your address proof. If you're someone who's staying on a rental, then you need a no objection certificate from your landlord. That's the main challenge which I see people having. Otherwise, most of the documents is address proof and identity proofs are there. Now, compliance. So let's talk about those people, those businesses who need monthly GST registration. So there are two returns, GSTR1 and GSTR3B. Now GSTR1 is a return in which sales are recorded. Both kind of sales are recorded, B2C and B2B. GSTR3B is the report in which you will actually do the GST payment. So let's say the GST on my sales is 1 lakh rupees and the input tax creditor is, let's say, 30,000. So that 70,000 is a GST which I will pay under GSTR 3B. But my sales in GSTR 1 and GSTR 3B has to be the same. Because of some adjustments, it may happen that there are a little differences month on month. But at the end of the year, for a particular financial year, these things have to match. So, that's the basic compliance. What the clients don't understand, or sometimes what happens is, you cannot give your GST number for personal expenses. So let's say there is a Amazon business account. So Amazon business account is meant to do purchases only for the business. You cannot buy a fridge for your house and claim it in your business expense. So such things happen. But that's the basics of GST compliance. On an average, 25 returns are to be filed every year.
So that's about two a month.
Yes.
So
That
is
is
there any
GSTR 1 and 3B.
and is there any time, like for example TDS, you have to file before the 7th of the next month? You have to deposit, sorry, not file, but you have to deposit. So is there any time in every month, like any date?
Yeah, so GSTR 1 is around 10th or 11th of every month, and 3B is, I'm not sure because I don't do a lot of filing now, but it's around 22nd or 25th. So the timelines also differ for monthly and for quarterly
Acha.
GST assessees.
So
So
you
for
can choose to
monthly,
do it quarterly as well.
yes, you can, but if your turnover is more, I think it's upwards of 1.5 CR. I'm not sure about the limit. Then you can opt for monthly.
Okay.
Otherwise, it's quarterly.
So tell me, can somebody do this themselves, or do they definitely need the services of a CA or a CA firm? Or
See, if you are someone who has time and who is someone who actually understands accounting on a mercantile basis, then you can. But if you want to concentrate on your business operations, you do not have the time with, or the bandwidth for actually going through all your bills or your sales bill, purchase bills, doing the accounting, and then getting the data from your accounts to making sure that the 1 and 3B are filed properly and the payment is done properly, then you definitely should hire a professional.
and from a, like, as a business owner, I'm asking, from a sort of cash flow perspective, it isn't that much. I'm assuming that getting a professional to do this on a monthly basis, you can work out some kind of retainer so that it's not a big dig into your cash flow, but at the same time it frees up a lot of your time for you to focus on your core business.
I feel that much time, if you focus, as you said, on getting new clients, then the cost of hiring a professional is really not a lot. So you just have to basically decide how do you value your time.
Yeah, so true. I
And
think.
many people don't understand, and I see, I think even I, if I was someone who's just in the year one of my business, even I would understand that. But after, once you start getting traction in sales, you need to understand that your time is better invested in the work and not the back end of it.
I know. I agree. I I think you are speaking for me as well, not for me as in me, Jenna, but even lawyers as a community, because this is also something we face. Like, we are many ways sister professions,
Of course.
and we have the same sort of frustration because people should just come to us at a more primary stage. We can help to sort of protect them. Uh, the other thing, when you were talking, the other thing that came to my mind is, one of the things that you spoke about, whether it's accounting or you said people understand in a mercantile way, for a small business or for a person who's I keep saying small business, but your answer need not be for small businesses. It could be for business of any description. The only reason why I speak about small business and solopreneurs is because typically they don't have teams to sort of take care of these, whereas bigger businesses do have. So for a small business, in terms of accounting or bookkeeping, or what are some of the lessons that you would want to pass on to say that, listen, do these things? What are some of the things you think people should do, business owners must do, from an accounting, bookkeeping, auditing sort of perspective, and keeping their record keeping?
Okay, so make use of technology. The first thing is, even if your CA is doing the work for you, make sure you keep all your bills and everything in either a file or directly just upload in a drive. Categorize your bills month wise. Categorize your bills into sales bill and purchase bills. Make sure you know what you are putting in your GST data. Okay, or what bills are you sending to your CA, and just check whether the bills that has been uploaded, is tallies with the bills you actually have. So sometimes we have seen this case in the last 3-4 months. So when the client is not able to give us the bills, we usually take the data from GSTR 2B or 2A.
What is
That
that?
is based, yeah, so that is a system generated sheet or a system generated report we get from the GSTR portal, which is basically someone is filing their sales, which is purchase for us, and we are getting the names of all the vendors who have filed. So for example, I have taken, let's say I've bought a TV, or let's say a computer for office from Chroma. So when Chroma uploads its sales bills, I will get to see that Chroma, the GST number of Chroma, and the transaction date, the invoice number, and the breakup of the basically the amount which I've paid for the TV, including the GST breakup, and I will be able to see all the different expenses in GSTR 2 and 2B. Now sometimes it happens that you may not have incurred this expense, and someone has typed in your GST number by error or something, so you don't want to claim fake GST credit. So that is the reason for you as an assessor, it's very important that you categorize your bills properly month wise. categorize your save your credit card statements. Don't just like depend on the system ki हाँ मैं download करूँगा and I'll be able to get it. Download it, download your bank statements, and please give your bank statement in Excel format to your CAs. They'll appreciate it. And, and other than that, not just this, even your personal documents, so I know it's a extended answer, but something like your password or the different insurance premiums you are paying, what mediclaims you are paying, password to a folder in which all your passwords are saved. Right now, we are so busy working. There are times when we forget to do these things.
Yeah,
So, and make
very
sure,
true.
yeah. So I just said told my dad the other day that yeah, where are your documents and everything? They are in place, but I am not aware of it.
Yeah.
So yeah, these are the things. If you see from 100% like overall perspective, you should take care of all these things. Your documentation is very important.
I can't agree more, especially when you say about, segregating it, putting it on a drive. Because putting it, I personally appreciate if it's on the drive because I can access it from anywhere. And then, you can put privacy protocols to the extent that is possible. uh, Everything is hackable, so that's not something we should be worried about. I mean, we can't do anything about it, but
Yeah.
everything from scanning all of your personal documents, even your identity proofs and so on, till like you told your dad any of his or your parents documents for us, because tomorrow if anything happens, that's the first thing that we will need, and a lot of our parents don't tell us where things are kept.
True. Even for that matter, contracts. I mean,
Yeah.
scan them and save them. Don't keep the original copy just lying around anywhere.
True. This is actually a very useful answer. Even if it was long, but it was a very useful answer, and it gave a full view of. Um, Ami, just I hadn't asked you this before, but when you were speaking, there's one thing I wanted to check with you. When it comes to TDS, there's a lot of confusion. A lot of people have asked me questions when it comes to TDS. Should I deduct TDS on this? Should I not deduct TDS on this? How should a small business owner start? Can you explain a little bit about what is TDS, and then how should a small business owner sort of think a little bit about this?
See, first thing is, if you're a sole proprietor or an HUF, then TDS is not applicable to you unless you had an audit done in the last financial year. So that is first thing. So for solo entrepreneurs, most of the cases में TDS may not be applicable to you. But there are people who are deducting TDS for you. That is the amount which you are receiving in the bank. वो TDS cut होके आ रहा है. Now this TDS you will get as a credit in your when you file your ITR. Now for private limited and LLPs, deducting TDS is compulsory. Now for these entrepreneurs, for each and every expense that you make, mainly it will be TDS on rent, TDS on contracts, and TDS on professional fees paid. That is 194I, 194C, and 194J. These are the three TDS which most of the cases may these three sections are applicable, and you need to check that you are deducting TDS properly. And also if you have employed like employees on salary basis, then again that is a very important section 192, that is TDS on salary, and you will have to deduct this every month and pay. So, and just deducting is not enough. Paying the TDS and filing the returns on time and issuing form 16 and 16A to the other person, these three compliances need to be done. So TDS also payment is on monthly basis, filing is on quarterly basis, and issuing form 16 16A is on an annual basis. So that's the gist of it. But if you see, if you are a business who has like 2-3 fixed expenses, then no need to consult. You can just deduct and pay, and you obviously will have to hire someone to file it for you. But in case you are in a business who is very dynamic, then there's a chance that you will have TDS under like 194H, like brokerage or different kind of professionals you are hiring, that that may attract 2% or 10%. Then it's always prudent to hire a professional
Yeah, of
and
course. Of
at least
course.
ask.
Yeah. And these are like small things which, like you said, hire for brokerage or, different types of professional. These are not things that normally we would know. outside of someone who's a CA like you. So it's definitely something that one should.
Also, equalization levy is something which people uh, mostly they do comply, but there may be businesses who are not complying to equalization levy. Also, TDS on expenses like Google. So let's say you are doing a marketing spend on Google, and you have to deduct the TDS and then get that TDS back from them. So
Hmm.
these are the compliances which usually are missed, but yeah, that's why you should hire a
and
professional.
and and all this, when the compliances are missed, then like you said, it leads to unnecessary revenue leakage. Like you said, they will automatically deduct. When we are paying, we deduct the TDS and pay, is it, we are paying to Google. But then online it'll directly show na the amount.
No, no, no. You have to pay Google the way normally when they generate and you just pay. अभी that entire payment के ऊपर TDS calculate करके अलग से you have to pay
You
and
have to
then Google
deposit. Acha.
you have to deposit and then you have to file also and then you have to write it to Google or Facebook or whoever it is कि ये TDS हमको अभी refund दे दो because we have
Acha.
paid.
Acha. Oh, I didn't know that. So this is why we need professionals like you.
Yeah, so these are the
And
compliances of mota
supposing you
moti.
don't do it, then what happens? What is the penalty?
There is a penalty. It is some percentage of your tax or some 50,000 or something, whichever is higher. But then that penalty is for each transaction, which is not
Ha.
complied for. It is not कि overall
One
इतना
time.
जाएगा.
Ha.
हाँ.
So
And then
then,
see, yeah. So the penalty is definitely more than twice of the
amount.
non-compliance.
And imagine it will compound quickly, because this is something, it's not like intentionally we are not, we don't want to do it. So if somebody would have told us that you have to deposit TDS alag se, we probably would have done it. You just didn't know, and then you're opening yourself to so much of penalty, right?
Yeah. Also, you didn't know, that is one thing. Second is most of the businesses nowadays, even the small ones, are looking for funding. Now, when you're going, you start the funding process, you will understand that there's something known as due diligence, in which आपका business जब in that part when these things are, when they're
Flagged
marking, you
off.
have not done this, you have not done this, you have not done this, that is where your
The value.
funding process is affected. So penalty is ठीक है, you just pay a couple of lakhs, you're done. But this
Yeah, the
has,
repercussions on the long term strategy of your business and direction. Yeah, that is something we don't think easily, right? Such small things, no, I mean, we think, oh, so many things you take for granted. You're like, okay, I'll deal with it when the time comes. But then that when the time comes, it's just too big. It
exactly.
potentially can derail your entire business. So everything that you have worked for can just be swept away. I don't know how we can make people understand, like, with the urgency of why they should consult professionals at the correct points of time and not wait till any problem hits.
But I have seen that a business person who's really serious about his or her business, they take care of all these things at the start, and that's why they perform well.
Yeah,
And the overall graph is much better because
yeah,
then these are the problems that they do not encounter.
of course. From the beginning only, when they are, you're right, actually, when now that
So
you
also
say it, you're right.
a basic question like whether should I be a solopreneur or should I go open a private limited company? It's a very basic question, and everyone who starts a business will always think, "यार private limited बनाऊं क्या?" So I mean, when you start a business, before that, just talk to a CA. They are not going to charge you lakhs of rupees. So it's a couple of thousands, and that will save your business.
Of course.
Literally.
Yeah, it is like going out and having one meal at like
Exactly.
a restaurant, like a fancy, okay, mid-level restaurant. But then that can potentially protect your entire business. Yeah, true. Okay, Ami, what are some of the? We have already discussed this a little bit, I think. But if you have to sum up three mistakes that you have seen business owners make in your.
Mm, Firstly, taking accounting very lightly. I feel the reason we are called chartered accountants is because we are the best accountants there is. If your accounting, I tell it to my staff also. If your accounting is perfect, all your compliances will be perfect, because that is where you are sourcing your data from. Second is getting confused कौन सा सॉफ्टवेयर यूज करो.
When you say software, what do you mean? Like what kind of software?
So let's say you're using one software, let's say Tally, and now you want to use Zoho. Okay, that is fine. You can get the entire data from Tally to Zoho, and you can continue. But now let's say you are attracted again by some software after a year or two, and you're again needing to transfer your data from one software to another. There's a chance that your data may not get
Leakage.
transferred properly.
Yeah, in between, you something may not get transferred, something may drop between the cracks.
Yeah, so if you're changing a software, let's say every 3-4 years, it's okay. But हर 6 महीने 1 year में I do not recommend it. I mean, just do your research, get one software, stick to it, खत्म.
Okay. And your third point.
Third point, not the biggest mistake I feel is not consulting a professional, either a CA, CS, lawyer, anyone, before you do any transaction. So I see so many people, let's say property ka transaction, most common mistake. You decide to sell your property, you decide to purchase your property, you are not aware of the compliance of what is to be done, whether you will, how much tax you can save, you cannot, and just go ahead with the transaction, and then you just call up your CA one day. अच्छा मैंने ये transaction किया है अब. So now see, we are not in a position to rectify anything for you. We can only tell you कि अच्छा चलो अभी ये किया है तो ये होगा. You should have called us before you sold or purchased it.
Correct. Same thing.
Yeah. So these are the things. So it's not just a property. So for you, I think, let's say you are signing an NDA with someone. Don't call up a lawyer after you sign. Call up a lawyer before you.
Or don't call up saying, I'm sitting in front of that person, can you just quickly go over it and tell me?
Yeah, that's just not going to happen. That's not possible. We are not bots, कि हाँ एक क्वेश्चन डाला और 3 आंसर निकल गए. No, it's not like that. So yeah, I think that is probably the biggest mistakes. Also for trademarks, I see so many mistakes. I have seen a case where a person had not taken trademark. They ran that business for 3 years, and then they wanted to do a trademark, and it was not possible. That brand was already there in the market. She had to change her website, everything, and then get a trademark done. So yeah, these are the big mistakes, I think. Also, a very common mistake is setting up a private limited for no reason at all.
Yeah, true.
You just
I
have
think
an
that
idea.
is something you should just take a little minute, 1 more minute maybe if you have, and then tell them why you must, setting up a private limited just like that is not the most sensible thing to do.
Yeah, so if you want, if your product is like ready and you have a few, like probably the first 100 clients, then and you're going to sell it on e-commerce aggregator, then I think ठीक है, and your future goal is to get some funding. Okay, go for a private limited company because आपने product test कर लिया है, you've generated थोड़ा सा revenue from it, and you know that it is going to work. You have a graph. If you're someone who just has an idea and you are just हाँ चलो मैंने director select कर लिया है, हम company बनाएंगे, ये करेंगे. No, it's not like that. You make a company, your company का cost का bill is on now. All your compliances, जो भी directors KYC है, all your ROC का filings, that is, you have to do that. Now chances are that you may not get any revenue from the business for the first couple of years, for example. Now in that case, is establishing a private limited, has it helped you in any way? In most of the cases, no. So yeah, that is my biggest
because
advice.
The compliance also is a lot. Like it's a recurring compliance every month. It's a lot. The compliance in private limited company is a lot compared to an LLP, compared to a sole proprietorship. There's a lot of compliance that you need to, and then that has a cost.
Yeah, so the MCA compliance for an LLP or a private limited is almost the same. There's not much difference. But yeah, if you compare it with the sole entrepreneurship, then it's a lot. Also, cost-wise, you are incurring extra 30,000-40,000 a year. Why do you want to do that?
So between an LLP and a private limited, in terms of compliance costs, I still think that doing an LLP is a better option than going for a private limited entity, and then maybe sometime later, as your business grows and things grow, you may probably want to change. But what is your view?
See, I feel if you are in any way going to do a business outside India and then decide how to get the money in India, something like that, then you should always start with an LLP. बिकॉज प्राइवेट लिमिटेड में डिविडेंड के ऊपर भी टैक्स आ जाता है. सो दैट इज अ वेरी मेजर पॉइंट. उसके अलावा विद इन इंडिया अगर आपको बिजनेस करना है एंड योर मेन गोल इज टू गेट इन्वेस्टमेंट, देन यू शुड गेट अ प्राइवेट लिमिटेड डन. बिकॉज कंप्लायंस वाइज एलएलपी और प्राइवेट लिमिटेड में ज़्यादा फर्क नहीं है. इट्स नॉट दे प्रोबेबली कॉस्ट वाइज 10% का डिफरेंस होगा. Because in a private limited also and an LLP also, you have to get a DIN number. You are a director. ठीक है. The main difference is that number of shares are not defined.
Yeah,
in an
that's
LLP.
true.
So yeah.
But you can change as time goes on and your business becomes.
You can convert a LLP into a private.
Into a private limited. Okay. And I think this is going to be my last question to you, Ami. I'm really interested in knowing your answer. Is what would you say has been your biggest challenge in finding legal support and legal help? Now, I know it's a bit of a departure from what we've been discussing, but this is an answer I asked because I'm very interested in what people say.
So, firstly, yeah, so there have been some cases probably where the professional on the other end doesn't understand you as a person. Okay, as a client, it's not just about IQ, it's also about EQ. So probably that is one of the challenges which I have found, because when we do hire lawyers to get to directly talk to the clients, so that is a challenge where there are times where we have to be in the midst of it, because there is not much going on between the professional on this side and the client. So that is, I think, probably one of the challenges that can be met with, because technically I feel there are awesome, like, good lawyers out there, but to understand the client and to really understand what they want, where are they coming from, and how to address that issue in the simplest way is probably the challenge.
Yeah.
Which I have seen.
Yeah, I seem to agree with you, because I've also been a client, so I can empathize. Okay, now we're done with the main part of the podcast, which is all of our serious part, and the second half I do for myself, because I love hearing the answers that people give. So it's called 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I ask you 5 of something, 4 of something, 3 of something, like that. So my first question is 5 productivity tips, or can be hacks, apps, whatever.
So I have recently started using Alexa. So I'm very, very late, but I love it. So I use it for, like, some thought crops up in my mind and I just like, Alexa, save this in my task list. So, but it really helps. I never thought that Alexa will help me so much. And yeah, so that's one thing. So all my whatever reminders I have, otherwise I always, like, fatafat say, I put a reminder on the calendar. And I don't even have to put, like, pick up my phone. I just tell Alexa to do it. So it's very easy. So it just clears my mind off very, like, fast. The second is try not to procrastinate. I think that's a killer of productivity. So अगर ऐसा लग रहा है कि अभी ये काम बाकी है, it's like a 5-minute job, just do it. Like, that 2 minutes rule. I read it somewhere, but so, like, if I have to, like, for example, write a post on LinkedIn, and I think, this is going to take me 20 minutes. But if I'm not that busy, I just open LinkedIn, I just start writing. However it is, it probably may not be the best quality post there is, but I'm doing something. So progress over perfection. Third is I try to keep my office and my home, like, completely, like, different. So today, because I had this thing with you, I came to office at 8 o'clock. I'll leave by 4, and that's it. I'm going to leave my office when I go to home, and I don't I try not to talk about work when I'm at home. So, and that really helps, because you are a social being and you need both. So yeah. Fourth is I have a very bad habit of taking my phone when I wake up. Immediately when I wake up, I check my phone. I'm trying to get rid of it. It's very difficult, but yeah, if I can, then I think that's the fourth best productivity hack. And the last is, I would say, take out 10 minutes for yourself every day. So sometimes it happens, and we as mothers, we know we are not just doing the work at home or at office. We have another entire section of our life which is for the kid. So after work, after home, and after my kid, I try to take out 10-15 minutes for myself. So whatever it is, even like probably I'm listening to 2-3 of my favorite songs or anything. But I think that helps me uh, keep me with myself so I don't get frustrated. And yeah, that really helps.
I I can't agree more with all the things that I think the one thing that I struggle, I have absolutely not conquered is keeping home and work separate. I've been working from home for a very long time. Been almost 8 9 years. I mean, almost as old as my older daughter. So
Uh,
when I started working from home all those years ago, it was quite alien in India. And then I suppose I just never understood how to sort of keep the two separate, because I always had one and then I had another one, and then they were always around me, and I thought it was great to be able to be a mother and be a working person at the same time. But I now realize that I should have kept more of a separation between my home and
but I think you are doing fantastic, Jenna. I
thank
mean,
you.
I
So
I
sweet of you.
cannot do what you are doing. Really, I've tried, but if you are able to do what you are doing with being at home, taking care of your kids and your house, it's amazing. Kudos to you,
Thank you.
seriously.
Thank you. So sweet. Thank you. Okay, 4 books that you recommend, audiobooks, whatever.
Okay, the first is Psychology of Money. I love that book. Okay. Second is so this is the book which I read when I was in ninth standard in school, Tuesdays with Maury
Yeah.
by Mitch Album. I
Which
think
album?
it really touched my heart. I've read it twice after that, and I think in any situation, you may be in any whichsoever situation in life, personal or professional. If you remember Maury, I think you'll just sail to that.
Yeah.
The third is Emotional Intelligence. I don't remember the author's name, but I have read it, and it talks about emotional intelligence of kids and of adults. And I think every business person, or even like anything, like if even if you're working, any kind of a person, you need to read that. It So I personally feel EQ is much more important than IQ,
Yeah.
and it reiterates that. And the fourth one, Harry Potter. It
Yeah.
changed my life. So yeah, I still read, I still listen to Harry Potter audiobooks probably once a week. I read it when I was in fifth standard, and yeah, I love it. I just love
Yeah,
it.
I know. Me too. I love it. And my kids have not yet gotten into it. Unfortunately, I don't know why. Hopefully they will. But I can't wait to share my love with them, at least of this series. Okay, 3 lessons that you would give for any young graduate or young student. Or,
Oh my! So see, when I became a CA, we had like probably Facebook, but it was not that like the way social media is right now, 10, 11 years back. So I think for the kids of today, I think the biggest challenge is to overcome the social media nuisance. And also at the same time, I understand that in their life, their social beings are is very much connected with the social media. So
yeah,
for the kids of today, I would like to say that learn how to strike a balance between maintaining your studies and your social media. You cannot, like, I can't say that just go off social media. It's not possible. You're born with that. But for the kids of today who actually managed to study well, I really appreciate it. Jana,
yeah,
I think I wouldn't have been able to study so well if I
yeah. We
was
had
so
a lot
much like,
less distractions.
yeah, seriously. I mean, uh, today's kids who do manage to study and study so well, I have immense appreciation for them. So yeah, that's the first thing, and the second is respect your people. That's all.
Hmm.
The values which we are grown, I think all the generations feel like कि हाँ मेरे generation में ऐसा था, and अभी क्या generation ऐसा है, and this has been going on since the last 5,000 years.
Yeah, true.
It will still go on, but maybe I am getting old, but I
Yeah,
feel that a little bit of
yeah,
respect would be good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think I agree with you on that, because little bit of respect and maybe commitment. I think commitment is a problem.
Yes.
Committed to one thing. Uh, Not minute things get a little hard, you want to give up. So
So
yeah,
it also comes with their social
correct.
conditioning. See, so we had Orkut, then Facebook, then Instagram, then LinkedIn, now Threads. Uh, Twitter is gone to X now. So see, the in the mind of a teenager, in their tiny little life of 15 years, they've seen everything, and they've
Yeah,
probably not seen Orkut.
yeah,
So I think that this commitment issue comes from that as well,
yeah,
because social
yeah,
media is a very big part. So yeah.
yeah. True, very true. I didn't think of it that way, but I now that you say it, I think you're right. Very little we can do. I don't know as mothers how we're going to manage it for our own kids, but yeah, it's a conversation for another time. And
Yeah.
two life lessons that you have learned in your
Uh,
life so far.
Intentionally try to make a good career. Okay. We
Hmm.
always say कि हाँ मुझे career चाहिए, लेकिन क्या चाहिए? What do you really want? If you are at any age, even if you're like 55, 60, try to make a career. It's the best thing you can give yourself. uh, you may have kids, you may not have kids, home, husband, whatever it is, or
Hmm.
spouse. I think making a career, creating a career for yourself is the best gift you can give yourself.
Yes, very
uh,
good.
and the second thing is, keep your loved ones together
Clothes.
with you. Be in contact with them, talk to them, even if it may be once a month. It's important, it's really important. So yeah.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. Both of these have never been told on the podcast before. I mean, both of these are such lovely lessons, but never been told. And I think it's a good reminder for me as well. And finally, the best piece of advice that you've received.
So that's my father, who always says, "This too shall pass."
Yeah.
So don't worry. This time is just basically time is passing you by. So you're just sitting here, time to ja raha hai. So
Hmm.
whatever good or bad is happening to you, it's still going to go.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Lovely.
Just yeah,
Yeah,
chill,
just enjoy.
relax.
Just chill. Lovely. Thank you so much, Ami. It was so wonderful talking to you and so insightful also. Even for me, it was very insightful. Is there anything you want to share with the audience about you, about your practice, about how they can get in touch with you? We'll include all of your, how to get in touch with you, etc. All of your links in the description. But anything that you want to tell?
Yes, I want to tell everyone that, for any of your business needs, maybe small or big, do contact Jenna, because
How
she
sweet.
is amazing. I have
So sweet.
sat with her through a business meeting, and she's the kind of professional I would like to get in contact with
My
for my
God, you're so
clients.
sweet. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I really mean it. I've seen you talk, and yeah, so that's the final message I would like to tell people.
So kind
And
of you, Ami. I'm really touched. Thank you. So kind of you. Thank you.
yes, and
And yeah, but one more thing that I would like to add, it's not like you scratch my back, I scratch yours, but I truly, when I first met Ami, she told me that we outsource your entire finance function, and I was like, nobody has described, you know, what a CA does or what a CA firm can potentially do in this way, that I can outsource my entire finance function so that you can be completely stress free, hands free, and I have all kinds of services. You want somebody to come to your office, or you want everything to be done in my office, I can manage everything. And I really want to grow to a point where I can just hand over everything to Ami.
thank
So
you.
Thank you so much for making time, Ammi. We'll meet soon as we
Yes,
keep going.
and also one last thing, because we are talking to professionals specifically.
Ha.
You know, so I've seen this in my fraternity, in other fraternities also. So the other CA, CS, or a lawyer is not really a competition. That
Very
the
true.
other
Lovely.
CA, CS, or lawyer is an opportunity for you
Hmm.
to grow together.
Yeah.
And we are in this age where there is no competition, there's just synergy. If you get this
Yeah.
in your mind and if you learn this by heart, you will grow a lot. For also for the fellow professionals out there, keep this in mind. It's very, very important. Cannot
Absolutely
reiterate enough.
fabulous. Yes, collaboration over competition. That's always. I'm so happy you brought this point up. I wouldn't have even thought of it, and I wish I had thought of it earlier. But fabulous. I totally agree. We always grow when we work together.